Hello, thanks for tuning into Stratazine, your source for authentic, curated content for digital and social media professionals. I'm Abby Thompson.
And I'm Lauren Miller. Today we'll be talking about knowing your audience for social media. Today's question of the day is, what social media platform is used the most by each age group? Stay until the end of the video to learn the answer.
I was able to interview fellow BYU Idaho students and ask them about their social media preferences and what they like to interact with.
I'm Abby Thompson here on the BYU Idaho campus, asking students how they interact with social media. So what social media platform do you use the most often?
There's two, so it would be YouTube and Instagram.
Instagram and YouTube, actually.
Use Instagram mostly.
Probably Instagram.
Instagram? Okay. What about you? Same questions.
Also Instagram.
And then what types of posts do you interact with the most? Is it like funny, trendy reels? Is it information-based things? What grabs your attention the most?
So for YouTube, it would be information, as well as some, comedic things, entertainment things. But for Instagram, it's mainly just comedic, just memes.
Usually memes or tech videos or tech information.
They're kind of more funny, trendy reels. So I kind of get a lot of memes and gym stuff.
Reels.
Reels?
Yeah,
perfect.
Probably both information and funny. Honestly, like a little bit of a mix.
This has been a little insight on what the BYU Idaho students think about social media.
It was so great to hear from some students around campus on this topic.
Now, Grace Shirley has been researching the pros and cons of different social media platforms. We will now hear from her about this research.
Hi, Stratazine. This is Grace Shirley, and today we're going to be comparing different social media platforms and determining the advantages of which ones you should use depending on your target audience. We'll start with the big three. The first one is going to be Instagram. So Instagram and Facebook combined reach about 2 to 3 billion users, which is crazy. Instagram reaches primarily a younger audience of people who prefer to research the products before they purchase them. Instagram also boasts a variety of different types of formats, including short form content, long form content, photos, and stories. Facebook also supports a variety of different kinds of content, including text posts, photos, and videos. Facebook is also a great place for running advertisements and also has a wider age range of users. X, or what was once Twitter, mostly supports more specific communities such as sports or journalism. And with X or Twitter, you want to be a little bit careful because it's kind of decreasing in its popularity due to increasing alternatives such as Threads or Blue Sky. The others that are really popular, of course, are TikTok. TikTok also has a huge reach and primarily reaches a younger audience. TikTok only really has one kind of content, though, which is short-form videos, but TikTok is also a great place for advertising and influencer marketing. YouTube is actually the second most visited site next to Google, which is really crazy and has also been around for about 20 years. So it has a great legacy, and it also supports short and long-form content. Pinterest is also highly visual, and ads are easily integrated into the website, and you can also drive traffic back to your website through pins. Determining which social media platform you use highly depends on your target audience. Factors such as age, gender, and geographic region can determine which social media platform will reach more people. The Pew Research Center conducted a survey about the popularity of social media platforms, and utilizing tools such as this can help you to conduct market research to know which social media platform is going to be best for your content. These are the sources I used. Back to the show.
Now that we know a little bit more about how to compare social media platforms, we are going to hear from an expert's opinion on social media demographics and how to find your audiences.
Recently, I had the opportunity to speak with Sister Emily Russell, a professor here at BYU, Idaho, about how social media demographics contribute to social media success. Let's listen. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Stratazine. Today, our professional guest is going to be Sister Emily Russell. She's a professor here at Brigham Young University, Idaho, and teaches in the public relations emphasis. Today, we're going to be talking about social media, demographics, and knowing your audience. So with that, Sister Russell, which social media platform do you find most effective for reaching the target audience of BYU, Idaho?
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren, for the introduction. I'm happy to be here with you today talking about the audience, keeping an audience in mind when you're working with digital and social media. So I like that question. Which audience or which platform is best for BYU Idaho? So would you say for students, is that kind of what You're thinking about like,
Yes.
how do we reach students? That's a good question, and I think that that's something that BYU Idaho is currently trying to figure out and to test with, right? Because that's a huge issue, we would say, is keeping and retaining the audience and getting more students excited about coming to BYU Idaho, and then also keeping the students excited about being here and staying here. So for social media, what I'm seeing, and you could tell me if you see something on, because you're an actual student, right? So you probably see things differently than I do, but I would say Instagram is probably one of the best platforms, which is kind of funny because I feel like Instagram has kind of trended in and out a little bit within the last like 5 to 10 years because we have new platforms, TikTok and Snapchat, that a lot of the Generation Z, the current students are using right now. So I would say Instagram, right? Is that what you use?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely use Instagram to get a lot of my like news update, and I do find myself gravitating towards TikTok when it comes to like almost acting as a search engine these days.
Yeah. But I've also noticed that I don't think anyone on campus or even anyone within the church, church organization related, I don't think they have a TikTok.
Yeah.
Which is something that's interesting, right? Like I think they're staying away from that platform. So I wonder if that's also what BYUI's strategy is to maybe, okay, what's the second best? Because most students are probably using, or if not half, are probably on TikTok, right? But most everyone is on Instagram as well. So Instagram is a good platform because you can share news updates, like you said, in a creative way. You have stories to keep people up to date. And I think this is still the case where stories are more seen than actual feed, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a good place for people to look for updates. And then you have videos and you have reel content, which is very similar to TikTok. So you get that same feel of having that fast, scrollable type of content that's humorous or informative or entertaining in some way. So it's kind of close to TikTok in that way. So anyway, I would say Instagram is probably one of the highest used. What I also have found, especially teaching in communication and working with students in the business department, is that students are often using LinkedIn as well. And so, do you use LinkedIn?
I do, absolutely.
Yeah. Have your teachers asked you to create a LinkedIn? Have you ever had to do that as an assignment?
Yes, I have. And with working at the Career Center, I use LinkedIn a lot to network with industry professionals, as well as I make the actual posts on the Career Center page on our LinkedIn to make sure that we're tagging all of our employers and thanking people for coming to the career fairs.
Yeah. And so I think you bring up an important point of distinguishing the two applications from each other, right? Because what is LinkedIn used for? Jobs, like you just said. Businesses connecting in a business way. And then what is Instagram used for?
Connecting with friends.
Some type of social engagement, knowing news or what activities are happening tonight or which societies are meeting this week. So that goes back to your initial question of what applications are students using right now and why? And if you can find the right application to use and then you can funnel your content through that application, then you're going to reach the targeted audience. So that happens with Instagram, that happens with TikTok, that happens with LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, right? We have a lot of popular applications that a variety of students are using. And so it's important to put your content on the right application. Yeah. It's as easy as that. As your audience uses something, so you need to know what your audience is using and then funnel or force your content through that channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, how do you prefer to interact with brands that you follow? Do you find yourself commenting, direct message polls? What's your form? What way do you interact with brands that you like?
I like that question a lot, actually, because I teach in public relations. So a big part about PR is staying up to date and relevant, right? Yes. You do PR too. So staying relevant. So I try to be on a variety of platforms just to understand what's going on. So I use X for news, right? That's kind of like the news source where you can see what people are saying, what's updated. But I also like to use TikTok to see what the audience is saying about things. TikTok, I feel like, is a really good place to view public opinion.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting, but it's also something you have to be careful with because you could kind of be in this, I can't think of the word right now.
Like a bubble.
Yeah, a bubble, or there's a certain word that I can't think of. But yeah, you can kind of be in this bubble where the same content is being fed to you.
Yeah, you're like
And
stuck in an
so,
algorithm.
yes, an algorithm, right, that knows what you like. So whatever you're leaning towards politically or about a controversial issue or whatever, you could be fed more of that content. And so I think it's important for me to be on a variety of platforms so I can get a variety of messaging and see what more and more people are saying. So, but personally, I do use, I would probably say TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest to view brands that I like. I'm someone that likes to purchase things.
Me too.
For myself. I like to purchase clothes. I like to look at trends and see what people are using and see why they're using it and then maybe try the trend because I just think it's fun to be involved in that kind of community. And I like to find things on those websites. So, and I love influencer marketing, but it's something that I also analyze at the same time to see if is this authentic or is this just, straight up marketing. So, that's what I would say for my age and also my demographic. I feel like it's pretty similar. Is if you go talk to Sister Nelson, we're close in age, and she also loves the same apps that I do. She also uses Pinterest. She also uses Instagram. And then I don't know if she uses TikTok, but it's similar.
Yeah.
But then if you go to a different generation, like my parents, my mom is on Facebook all the time, and it's funny because I'm not on Facebook, and that's what she uses. That's where she likes to get her news and her information. So.
I think like media literacy can play a big role into like deciphering how brands are trying to communicate to us. Do you feel like having a PR mindset has helped you realize when like a company's marketing is like either overreaching or what do you think about that?
100%. And it kind of frustrates me a little bit sometimes because of what I know and what I study. I think about brands, I think about advertising, and I think about public relations in such a different way now that I can spot it. It's like, okay, this is a strategy. It's fun. It's fun to look at strategies, but it also turns me off to like purchasing something or following something because I know the intention of why they're doing it. And so, yeah, it has changed everything. I feel like I should ask you that question too, because you are a PR student and you also study social media. And so with what you're learning in school, how is that affecting you as you scroll?
Yeah, I think I can easily tell when something is like a sponsored or partnered post, and having that media literacy really helps me decide what I'm interested in. Like if it's a sponsored post, I'll immediately just like swipe really fast over it. Unless if it like tricks me and I'm like engaged with content right off the beginning, then I end up watching it and then I realize that it's a sponsored post. I'm like, dang it, that's a good marketing tactic. Like I should remember that for the future because it worked on me. There's someone who's pretty involved in social media, so.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think that will help you as you find a job and as you work, you've done an internship, I know that, but like when you go and work, that'll help you to staying relevant. Like what's catching you, those sponsored posts, they changed to where it says sponsored or, they give it a minute before it actually pops up with the word sponsored across the screen so that you can get people to watch your content. But do you ever find yourself sticking with a sponsored post even while knowing it's sponsored?
No.
Never? Because I think it has happened to me before, and it's very rare. And it's only if it's a content that I really like. Oh, I actually really want to try that product. Yeah. I'm actually going to look at it because I want to see what it looks like on this person.
That's fair.
So it can get you, but most of the time people are turned off by advertising. And so, yeah, that makes sense that you would do that. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me. Just a quick little interview, but thank you, Sister Russell, for joining our podcast, and we will catch you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sister Russell, thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this topic.
It was so great to hear from her and ask her some questions that were on my brain. Up next, we have our weekly tips and tools segment from Lindsay, where she will teach us how to look at your Instagram insights.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's Tips and Tools segment. Today, let's go onto my Instagram and go to my profile. It's important you have a business or creator account for this, but once you do, click on one of the posts and click View Insights. Next, it will take us to this page where you can see how many likes your post got, how many comments, how many times it was sent to somebody, and how many times it was saved. As we can see, my post had 512 people that it reached, but only 175 of those people interacted with the post. And 10 people went to my profile after seeing the post. 512 people were reached, about 80% were my followers, and 20% were not my followers. And then impressions. I just looked it up, and this is anytime someone interacts with your post. So this could be 679 different people seeing your post once, or it could be one person who saw the post 679 times. And then it breaks it up with whether they saw it on their home screen, whether they went to my profile and then clicked on the post, or other. And then last, we have the engagement of the 175 people who interacted with my engagement post. 95 of them were my followers and 5% of them were not my followers. Thank you so much for watching this segment of Tips and Tools. I hope that this helps you understand your Instagram insights.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Now back to our question of the day. Lauren, what social media platform is used the most by each age group?
Yes, the answer is teens ages 13 to 17 use TikTok, young adults 18 through 24 use Instagram, adults 25 through 34 also use Instagram, and 35 plus Facebook is the main social media platform that they use.
Thanks for hanging out with us today to talk more about creating a cohesive brand. That's all for this episode of Stratazine. Coming up in our next episode, the topic will be how AI is changing content creation.
You can find links and attributions to everything from today's podcast in the credits and the show notes. Have a great day.